he said it would be an estimate of $600 in concrete, because he would only have to do the curb on top of that, because he said it's actually concrete underneath it. So he said at that point it just makes it more functional. And this timing of it is at the same time because he was putting the drainage, and I'm sure everybody's aware of 3rd Street on Court and Cumberland, how that when you're parked, you might have your tire in complete water whenever it becomes a large, any kind of large rain amount of any kind. So that too, he called it a drain is what he's adding, so he actually routes it to a different area, so that takes care of that problem. So it's kind of doing all the work at the same time. So he couldn't come tonight. He told me it's the only night he wasn't able to be here, but he was open for any kind of phone calls or any kind of questions you might have. So, any questions or concerns or?
I have a couple of concerns. Definitely I'm for making anything in the city look nicer and better, but a couple of concerns that I have are, number one, safety. I drove through there today and a car was backing out of a lot less, and with cars on either side of it, in order to be able to clear them and back out, they actually had to back into that area. And that concerns me a little bit, although I know a lot less is going out of business, so that may be a big point later on. Then you have Kinzer's at the other end also that is still in business, that their parking is not angled like it is on the old courthouse side. So it's a little bit different with them backing out than it is the other side. That's kind of concern number one. But concern number two would be for things like when we have the Fall Fest and there's a median there, or there's an aisle in there. It's gonna cut out significantly amount of space as far as like for when vendors are trying to get in there and trying to set up and do all that stuff. That's just kind of my concerns.
As far as, I mean, does anybody else have any comments or suggestions as far as your thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you put this island in, is that going to interfere with our Christmas parades that we have?
And of course, that would be something that we definitely would have to ask Tim coming through. I mean, he said the 12-foot lane would be something that is a standard size road. And so it's just I don't know if there's a certain flow or if someone's making something that would not be of standard size that would exceed that amount. That I don't know. I mean, that's definitely something we could ask him about, because I'd be speaking on it.
Well, you probably someone needs to talk to probably the band director if you go through with this plan and show it to him. Because I certainly wouldn't want to
change that.
Change the parade route. Because I know things change.
And as long as we don't have no fires down there, because the fire truck probably wouldn't be able to, the big truck wouldn't be able to get in.
And that's a
If
good.
you had a fire cord, well, if they had to come through that way, make a turn there. Because as long as it is, wouldn't make a turn.
And that's a real good point too, that would definitely have to be brought up to Tim, because he'd have to get with the fire chief. That's another two good points.
And on that,
Well, what I was saying before, take this to the band director. Show them what you're doing and ask you would there be any problem with the band marching through there. And I don't think we'd have a problem with any of the cars or floats going
Right.
through.
Yeah, I wouldn't think the band would be an issue, but I mean, that's definitely something we could ask them. I wouldn't even have a problem doing that myself, if that's what it is.
To me, myself, I grew up with that route and I like that route.
Yeah. Oh, I understand, I do too.
well, I think we voted on that last
Madam
year.
Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Brown, you got a comment?
I had made a couple of notes. I got this
late, and, Mr. Childs is ahead of me. That on the Kingston end, I don't think you could put it that close to the stop bar. I don't think our fire trucks nor school buses can make that radius there. I think you need to look at it.
Okay.
And if you go with either picture 1 or picture 2, even with angled parking, you've got to have at least 17 to 18 foot for angled parking in front of the stable lot. I don't think there's enough room there. I went on the thing to measure it. I noticed that Tim had 56 foot on picture 1 at the top. And if you look at the 56 foot line that he's drawn the box on, every car in front of the stable lot would be included in the lane of traffic. And then I was wondering if we have done a count of cars that actually do this, and then that use this portion of the street. And then the other thing is to bear in mind, I think we need to, not only the band, that sounds like a good idea to talk to them, I think we need to go talk to the property owners. I don't care if there's somebody moving out of the building or if we got an empty building, that this could have an adverse effect on them either trying to rent or sell the property. Because if you look, if you turn right off Cumberland Street coming from South 58, you can't get to Kingston or any of these businesses and park on their side. You've got to come all the way back around to park. So I hope that we don't jump into this and just go do it quickly. I would suggest that we let our engineering firm come in and look at it. The other thing we were talking about, that $600 worth of concrete. Is he planning on tearing up this median, this 5-foot section, and tearing it completely out?
No, he wasn't planning on doing
What are you planning on planting in the planter then?
it. It would be something that would be really shallow, roots, nothing that would, be anything that you would have to have a large root. It would be more in a seasonal thing that we would just have to adopt as a beautification that we took care of.
Okay. Yeah, because, he doesn't dig that out. That
Right.
curve being 7.5 inches tall.
Right.
So that's all the dirt that you can get in it to do whatever plan. And then my final note on this, I'm like Councilwoman Humphrey and Mr. Brackett. I'm all for making everything pretty. And this is a great idea. And I appreciate Tim and the 2 committees looking at it. But I sure hope that it don't get to look like the one. And when you leave your meeting this afternoon, look at the one at the landing. Sometimes it's manicured, sometimes it's not. I noticed that the adopted sign had come out of it when I went to Food City. But, that's in the heart of town. I sure don't want us to have good intentions and putting something in, and then 6 months down the line, we find out that, well, we're not going to put nothing in it because it's winter, or we can't do this, or we can't do that. But when we throw this brine on the road during the winter season, you've got to figure where that's going to, because that's going to serve what you said, which you're putting in a curve. A curve is designed to keep the water from going to the other side. Okay? So I don't know unless we resurface that road and make that curve run as a ditch. I didn't understand where you were talking about, or we'll have the same problems that you were talking about when you get out of your car or you step in the water. So I don't know, I didn't understand, is he gonna put something on this part of Cumberland Street? New drainage in there?
He told me he was talking about the drainage that is backing up at Cumberland and, Court Street, where that it puddles up. So, that's something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and he said that he was having to put a drain in at that point, was why he was looking at
Okay.
bringing this up. And then as far as like the island.
And
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Did you have something else, Councilman Brown?
No, go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh, as far as the island on the maintenance side, I think a lot of times on an island of any kind, it's what we put in it to be able to make it easy to maintain it. Because I do agree, we have plenty of properties that, are not managed. As far as the sponsorship, that was, we had one person that wanted to sponsor all the, parks, and so, we wanted to continue that, so we took up all the sponsoring signs over a year ago. And that's the reason why there's no sponsorship signs on any island or any signs, because they wanted to do all the park signs. So that was a side note, just to let you know. Did you have anything else, Councilman Brown? Because I had.
No,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I spoke my piece.
Okay. And
Two things. I agree with Councilman Brown, definitely, that the property owners need to be spoken to, all of them. And I couldn't remember if you said you had already spoken to some of them or not. As far as Kinzers and Glenn Reynolds.
I have not spoke to Glenn Reynolds, but I have spoken to the bank, Citizens Bank, but I have not spoken to the property owner that is the one that owns the beers that's for sale.
But you did speak already with Kinzers?
I think it was Mr. Clark that said he had mentioned that they were in favor, but I can confirm that.
Kinzer's parking isn't in the right of way.
It's private parking.
Yeah. Everybody else has on-street parking, but
Right.
Kinzer's owns their parking.
Yeah.
But also, back to what Councilmember Brackett was saying, I too, like the route we had last year, I had a lot of comments that people were really happy with us going back to the old route on the Christmas tree, and I wouldn't want to mess that up, but we're talking about the band and the floats and all that stuff as far as going through there, but one thing that we did last year, is we actually had vendors parked along that street last year for the parade. We had the Crave and some other vendors parked on the sides. So that would be a consideration that we would have to think about too. That's it.
Yes.
I was gonna see if council will be in agreement that, maybe we let Tim kind of gather some of the answers to some of these questions and then, give him the opportunity to come, in November, or maybe better yet, even December. I know he's getting ready to be, pretty exclusively dealing with the Greenway repairs.
Right.
We're getting ready to start those soon, and that'll be kind of his priority, but if you're good with it, give him some time to put some more information together, then be happy to have him come to a future workshop, and, when he can be here and answer some of these questions and discuss it further.
I'm gonna be for anything that can be engineered correctly to make that section of our downtown and road look better, because it's not the best. So whatever can be done the correct way, I'm for it.
Yeah, and, you know, I definitely to reach out, because I told, like I said, he said he would come tonight, but he had already made plans, so I'm not the expert, I'm just the messenger.
I agree with Councilman Brown when we're talking about, the businesses on the other side, you're cutting them off, and they're gonna have to do what? Go up in the jail parking lot, or the?
Well, it would be, at this point, and he's not shown this on the drawing, but in my thoughts were, if there is, I would figure he would have cut-throughs, like where it's actually not a complete whole island, if there is
Okay,
you know what I mean, as far
Well,
as
that makes
business.
sense.
Yeah.
So it'd be done in sections.
In sections,
Oh.
just like if you were going to Brentwood Way and you're going into the businesses, I mean, they have cut-throughs on each one, but they have islands going on up the hill.
So they could engineer it to where that first rounded area, is not abutted up to the cross street. So
Right.
if a fire truck had to make a turn, you just move that curb further back in order to make,
Right.
for a truck to make a turn.
Right, and I
Okay.
mean, I think all those points, from the school bus to the fire truck
Yeah,
to,
school buses too.
yeah, the vans, I think, all those things are important to make sure you've got the clearance, cause, you don't wanna damage your vehicles and you don't wanna damage what you just put in, for sure, so, that's a good point. So, if everyone's good with that,
Go back to engineering.
Yeah, engineering.
We'll let him go back to
Yeah.
the drawing board,
Yeah,
and
yes,
maybe,
sir.
maybe December have him here
Okay,
too.
yeah, that'd be great. We'll move to number 7, we have discussion of the mayoral appointment of Tennessee Riverline Rome County Leadership Team, and that would be Mayor Neal.
Yes, now, so I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Bowman and kind of give you an idea of what this committee will be doing.
I'll in turn yield to Councilmember Wright. She's been actively involved in the process, from the beginning. I can certainly chime in.
You all pretty much know what this is, but this is, would be transitioning into a new section of Tennessee Riverline if we get picked for river towns. And if we get picked for river towns, there's a very specific requirement that each city, within the county appoint 2, member representatives, to represent their city. So this is just a house cleaning issue, so we can get that portion done and turned in, so the resolutions will be complete, and the board can be complete.
We want to participate in whatever way we can to maximize the benefit that Kingston can see off of this, and obviously, we're gonna be we've been active in the process, from the beginning, and wanna stay active in it, because I think it can be a real benefit, as it grows, as we're on the ground floor and stay involved.
Yeah, we're the only city that is actually on the Tennessee River, so if anybody's gonna be benefited by this, it would be Kingston, definitely.
Most definitely. So
There are 2, and this was indicated in the resolution you passed a couple months ago, but there are 2 appointments to this county-wide leadership team. They are mayoral appointments by resolution, but, so the mayor will have 2 appointments to make, but we will be represented, whoever he picks will represent Kingston in this process.
everybody's okay with it, I'm sure we'll add that to the agenda. Or is that
I don't
something?
think
It doesn't have to be,
Okay.
they're mayoral appointments, unless the mayor just wants it to be.
I didn't catch that, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it doesn't have to be on the agenda next week unless you just want it to be. I mean, these are both mayoral appointments, so whoever you want to name, will go on, but we can certainly put it on the agenda if you want it there.
It doesn't matter, I could do it on the agenda, or just, either way is fine.
Okay, well, we'll put it on the agenda, and if nothing else, you can announce who you pick, so.
Okay.
So I'll just go around. Councilwoman Humphries, did you have anything to add?
No, as far as, I have some park and rec stuff, but I'm gonna save it for next week's meeting, which I will be saying it twice.
Okay.
Speaking of Bill Grant, have we received anything from DOT? Okay. I don't have questions.
He doesn't have anything. Councilman Childs, did you have anything to add?
Absolutely nothing.
And Councilman Brown, are you out and
No,
about?
thank you.
We just wanted to see, we thought you was gonna be able to join us here tonight, so hopefully you can't Tuesday.
Well, I got out this morning, did exercise, and had a bad afternoon, so
no.
I didn't stretch it, so.
Well, we can postpone our marathon training until next month if you want to. We don't have to start that in October.
Yeah, that's good, I'm in it, but just slow.
He can be on your hardship hill team.
There you go.
Mayor Neal, did you have anything to add?
And no, ma'am, I do not.
Just one thing, the mayor and I talked about this a little bit, and this is something we've kind of been aware of, and we think we need to move, kind of evolve how we're doing our meetings. You know, we've been doing them, the live stream and posting that, and we'll continue to do that. I think that's a good thing, but I think in terms of public involvement, we need to expand a little bit, and wanted to get your thoughts, start with next week's meeting. If you would be interested in either doing that in a traditional format where we let people come back in, assuming, you know, we had some people who wanted to come, or to do it in a Zoom format where, again, we meet online, but the public could participate. We think it'd be a good thing to increase public participation back up to where it ought to be. So, wanted to get your thoughts on that. We have the capability. We'd have to get all the details worked out. We have the capability to host a Zoom meeting if you'd like to do it in that format, or if you'd rather do a traditional meeting where we open it back up and give the public a chance to come in and comment if there's anybody that wants to. So, want to kind of get your thoughts on that. If you want to do the Zoom meeting, obviously we got to get that set up in the next week. So, just want to throw that out there. But, and Sandy, you can expand on that if you want to. But we feel like we probably need to take that step at this point.
And frankly, given the governor's proclamations and orders, and what I've seen here forever, I don't think there's any problem about you all having a traditional meeting.
Yeah, I say we open it back up.
Yeah, I would agree.
Knox County does their public meetings, their public still comes up. If Knox County can take care of it, then we can. I say we open it back up.
And,
Open the doors.
You know, and I don't know how this works. If we have a Zoom meeting, would we all be able to vote just like if you were, because I know if there's ones that are out, they actually can't vote. Is that correct?
MTAS is saying that still.
If you did a Zoom meeting, anyone on council who logged on to it would count toward a quorum and would be able to vote.
So
But you'd be better off just opening up and having a
Right.
regular meeting. And then, and anybody who couldn't be here, who wanted to be, they would not be, if you had a regular meeting, they would not be voting because they won't be counted toward a quorum, but.
The only consideration I would lean toward doing a Zoom meeting, I know nobody wants to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We know for a fact, most likely next week, we're gonna have at least 2 members out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you lose a little bit more, you start risking a quorum. If you have an electronic format like Zoom, those 2 members will be able to participate and vote.
Yeah.
So
Can we do both?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
You can't do a Zoom meeting here?
No.
It really gets, it doesn't
How would
sound,
they even tell where you are?
it doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good?
No, if you have a Zoom meeting and you have, and you all are trying to use this spot as one of the Zoom frames,
Mm-hmm.
the sound doesn't do, I've done it. I've done way more of this than I
Oh,
wanted to.
I'm getting a different definition of sound. I thought you meant like,
There are some strong opinions. I think if you talk to MTAS, if you talk to the state, there's some strong opinions that say you either need to meet in person or you need to not meet in person.
Mhm.
That's why that Councilmember Brown, the mayor, can't vote over the phone tonight. Whether they're on the phone or they're on Zoom, you either have to do one format or the other. So that's.
But you're also saying if we open it up on Zoom, it's open to the public on.
They could log on, they could.
well,
comment.
I know some other cities, the way they are doing that is citizens have to sign up in order to be on the Zoom meeting. You can listen to the Zoom meeting, but to actually participate in the Zoom meeting, you have to sign up for it. Of course, City of Knoxville ran into problems in 6-hour meetings, last week, the week before, because they had so many people signed up, but, I mean,
That
that's.
person sounds really good.
There's some opinions that it's not, there's some opinions some would make that it's not, that you can't require people to sign up to attend a public meeting, so I think that could be contested. I know some are doing that, but
Mhm.
I mean, you know, I think you open it up, and I think on ours, we could have up to 100 people.
Okay.
Not that there's ever been 100 people interested in Kingston City
But if we
Council,
do this, then none of us will be meeting here at all
No, you'd be meeting
until
wherever.
it's changed.
Yeah, you'd be meeting wherever. The only benefit would be that we could conceivably have full council, participation. Now, there's nothing pressing on next week's agenda, but, you know, it's just an option. What we just didn't want, we want to avoid is, if this was something you're interested in, we needed time to set it up. If you want to just have a regular meeting and open the doors, assuming somebody wants to come, that's easy. But,
Well, there's four
As I was
here,
saying,
what is?
My opinion is we open it back up. We've never had a problem with a crowd here that I've seen, so I don't see why social.
I don't think his
distancing would be an
problem was
issue.
with the crowd, I think he foresees an issue with people being out.
we have, you know, tonight we have a quorum, but one of
I really
you.
would like to finish speaking. What I was saying was, that's my opinion, is that we should go ahead and open it back up. And while we're on that subject, are we going to be opening back up City Hall, or is it gonna continue to be closed?
You know, we've talked about that. We hadn't really made a decision. I think that, you know, we've talked about probably at least maybe opening up the lobby at some point. I mean, there haven't been any complaints, there hadn't really been any disruption of service. I mean, we've been able to do everything we needed to do, but, you know, we're looking what some of the other cities have done or looking to do, and again, kind of maybe a first step is, you know, keep the back offices closed, but, you know, maybe open up the lobby at least as kind of a transition. So
Yeah, I know
that's
a
kind of
couple
where
of
we
people
are.
asking me, you know, especially with the governor's order. when we
Yeah.
plan on opening it back up.
So that's probably how we'll do it, is kind of phase it in like that. So that kind of phase it in that way, so we'll have more on that pretty soon.
I'm old school, I'd rather meet here.
I'm good, however y'all want to do it.
I just can't get used to this high technology that we've got this day and time. I'm from the old school, you know. I like to look you in the eye.
I'll say this, that, meeting in person is a lot less work, so we'd be fine with that.
What,
So, anything y'all would like to add? We've got three that are on the phone, Councilman Brown, Charles, and the mayor. Y'all wanna add anything as far as the Zoom?
I've got just one thing, I don't know if it's just me, I have not been able to get a picture at all tonight.
yeah, there was
I don't know if
issues.
it's just me, or if it's our system, so.
That's Kevin's
No, it
fault.
was.
You know, I've got it now, Tony.
Yeah, beginning.
Okay, I hadn't tried it here in the last 5 minutes or so, but I couldn't get it. All right, that's fine, thank you.
Yeah, it's all.
So is there anything else anybody would like to add? You have a comment on the Zoom?
Brandon, Mayor.
If there's nothing else.
Make sure 4 of you show up, and we'll open the doors and, do it that way. The only other thing, just as I said a little bit ago, the city attorney would like to have a brief executive session, so we'll, you guys on the phone can stay on. We'll cut the live stream off, but,